There we go.
There we go.
And welcome to episode 92 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean, Director of Operations at the company. And I'm joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
Just a quick note for those of you watching. If things look different, they are, because my iMac went kaput. So I'm on a MacBook Pro, different camera setup and all that. So same show, just different setup. Anyway, welcome to the show. That's also why we missed last week, by the way. Yes. Welcome to the show. Todd, how have you been doing these past 2 weeks?
I'm good.
Glad
it's been busy because we had WWDC, OnePlus 3 launch, Moto Z, Lenovo. I mean, Lenovo and the Moto Z were kind of the same thing, but there was a lot.
I always love how these companies seem to find the ability to schedule everything at the exact same time.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you think like, oh, we're in the summer doldrums, but then you realize it's kind of June. It's just the start of the summer. You're like, what the? Then all of a sudden it just all hits you at once. And it's kind of, it'll be busy for a bit here. And then we'll have, a little break. And then September where you get, iPhone and IFA right on top of each other. So,
yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe just everyone's trying to get their phones out before iPhone.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the rumor, right? That the Note 7 or Note 7 Edge or whatever is going to come in August or something too.
Yeah.
But I think, OnePlus, it was about time. I want to say it was July for the OnePlus 2. About this time anyway, each year. And it's the same time for Motorola. Though Motorola was a bit disappointing, and I know our topics are primarily, I think, going to be OnePlus and WWDC. But Motorola was different because usually, you kind of get this Moto X, right? Like Moto X last year, they had several. And it's an unlocked phone. You could buy it or whatever. But this year, it was just like exclusive to Verizon. And typically, it's like they unveil the Moto X, and then a couple months later, they do like, oh, here are the Verizon Droids, these versions of it. And this year, it was the opposite. And I think it was Droid Life today had an interesting, I didn't read the whole article, but the headline was kind of dead on here. Like Motorola botched this launch by just saying like, here's the Moto Z, but you can't really buy it. And when you can, it's only locked to Verizon in the United States. While OnePlus did this like, here's our phone, you can buy it, and you can buy it today. Which, so it was a much smoother launch. I agree with that.
And yay, no invites.
Yeah, no invites. And I met with Carl Pei, the CEO, last week, actually, and talked to him a bit about the phone and stuff ahead of time. And he was saying, like, we're a mature company now. We're not doing invites. And I made the joke. I was like, what about Pebble? Kickstarting it. Like, they're a mature company and they can't do it. But, and obviously you didn't answer that. But, that was his view that, like, look, we're 3 years old. This is our third phone. Yeah, 1, 2. I guess it's kind of like 2 years old, whatever. Anyway, now we're ready to like go big, and you can buy it. And I actually checked this morning; you can still buy it, and shipping's within like 8 days. So that's how they're going to do it. They're going to always sort of. I don't think they're going to run out of stock, but they're going to say like, here's when your order will ship as more people try to buy it.
And that's great. I'm glad to see the invitation system is dead. Maybe that will get OnePlus into a few more hands out there this time around. But speaking of the OnePlus 3, 6 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, which is another thing I asked him. I was like, because there are rumors about the Note having that, and I think a couple other phones, but this is a big one here and now. And I was like, what the heck is it for? Like, multitasking seems pretty good with 4 gigs, and which already seems like a lot, right? And he was like, well, the way the Snapdragon 820 chip processes pictures or snaps pictures, if you can, and he said, I think LG did this too, probably with the G5, obviously the other Snapdragon 821, is that it snaps multiple pictures at once and then combines them into one. And the more RAM you can have, the better for doing that. So he said that's really what it's there for. And in general, snapping pictures really fast. But he also said, look, our users are enthusiasts and they're going to push it. He's like, I'm almost certain they're going to push this phone. So, we want to have that there for them, which I thought was a pretty good answer.
So what, you figure we're 2 years away from 8 gigs being the new standard?
Yeah, maybe a year. Who knows? We'll go right up to 12.
Imagine that. Phones with as much RAM as a baseline computer.
Yeah.
That's just freaky to me.
I mean, when you think about it too, the apps are more powerful. You're doing more with these phones and things like that you don't even do with a computer. Like these are stitching, couple pictures together in split seconds. I mean, not even a second. So.
Yeah, I know. It's just still though. When I saw that spec, I was just like, wow.
What?
But hey, NFC.
Yep. And I said, was that a big deal? And he's like, well, we had, users going back and forth because I felt it was a big deal on the OnePlus 2 not having it. Like, it's just one of those things that, like, how could you not have that? And he said, the fans had said they didn't need it, and then that there were complaints. And I think it was more the discussion. I think this is what he suggested, that it was more the discussion about the phone not having it that hurt, rather than the phone actually not having, like all this talk. Like, how could it not?
Right. Which, I mean, we said on this very show, it's not a standard as of yet, but as I've been looking at buying a new computer, which I'm going to have a rant about later. As I've been looking at buying a new computer, I always try to future-proof my computer. So yes, it may cost me a little bit more now, but it shortens, it lengthens the amount of time I have to go before I have to buy another one.
Right.
And so NFC not being in the OnePlus 2 to me was killing the future-proofing of that phone. The industry has clearly been moving towards that technology, and by not including it, it was kind of like, oh, well, this phone's already outdated.
Yeah, and Android Pay was launching then, and it didn't have that, so it was like it couldn't even use one of the flagship features. But the other thing is I hardly ever use NFC, but every now and then I pair it with a speaker, and I'm like, wow, wasn't that convenient? Like to tap it and go, and to not have it, that's it's kind of a bummer, but we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly.
And the OnePlus 3 is a gorgeous phone. It's in the Irvine office. I played with it for 20 minutes in the briefing, but it's very nice. I didn't get into the software, unfortunately. The hardware was gorgeous. And I actually made the comment to you because I was talking to Carl. He said some people had said, "Oh, this phone looks like an HTC device," and I was like, "I think it was one of my headlines." So I definitely did say that, and it does because of the antenna bands and stuff. And he's like, "Well, look, there's like not a better way to do it than having those antenna bands." And he's like, "If you take this phone and put it next to the OnePlus 1, you'll actually see that the size and the form of the body are very close." And I did, because they had a OnePlus 1 there, and I was like, okay, the design is pretty much really similar in terms of curves and stuff like that to the OnePlus 1, and antenna bands are what you have, and you got it on every phone too, I guess. So you look at the iPhone, it's the same idea. I guess at some point there's like, how much more can you avoid it?
Yeah.
Not avoid it.
No, I agree. I think a lot of companies have moved that way because it simply is a better way of doing it. And who can forget the iPhone fiasco of you have to hold your phone a certain way to make calls.
Right. And I'm looking at other phones, like they, otherwise, like here's the next bit. You have plastic. Huawei's devices, you have plastic or the antenna bands. Like I can show you here, there's the plastic running on top and antenna bands on the bottom. So yeah, I guess he's right. I mean, obviously he's right. So
right. Well, I'm hoping that the OnePlus 3 is a good phone. I'm not jumping on it, but I believe you are going to be buying one later today.
Yeah, I was planning on going to the pop-up event in New York City. It's kind of one of those things. I like these companies that sort of have fan bases, and I think it's kind of fun to be a part of the launches. That's why I did the Next Bit Robin. I bought the S7 too, so and I bought the 6S Plus. So like I'm buying from the big manufacturers, but I also think it's kind of fun to go out and support the smaller guys. So I think it'll be cool to see. And I wonder how many fans are going to show up. I mean, I think this is the only place in the United States that they're going to have a pop-up store.
Well, I'm concerned that you may not have a phone handy at any time on your desk there, but
I know. But
just a few around you.
Yeah.
So, of course, the other big news this week, and by the way, for those of you wondering about E3, we're not forgetting about E3. Joey is still at E3, and he will be on the show next week to discuss all the announcements there, especially Dad of War. Those of you that have watched the Sony presentation get the joke. Anyway, so The other big event that we will be discussing this week is WWDC.
Mm-hmm.
And excuse me while I try to wake up. So WWDC happened. Okay, first off, let's lead with something positive. Okay. They're finally doing something with the lock screen.
Yeah, widgets. Which, I mean, it's like it's hard to call them widgets. They are widgets. I'm not supposed to. It's weird. Sorry, I don't want to migrate too much, but when we download these developer previews, apparently there's like you're not allowed to take screenshots or show it. So even though I have it right here, I can't like hold it up. According to some people, I'll explain later. But anyway, so that's crazy. But I do have it running, and the widgets are. People have been comparing it to WebOS, which is funny because they do kind of look like that. But they're nice. They're nice to have on the lock screen. You can like hold down an app icon, and the widget will pop up like in Maps or something like that. So they're good to have. But it's funny, and so many people have said this. It's like a lot of features that were already in Android. But what do you expect? Like it's got to come at some point to iOS.
You realize once the show's done, you're showing me some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Technically, it's a TechnoBuffalo developer account, so.
Yeah, no, this is my personal one.
I forgot you have a personal developer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a developer and whatever here. Look, so you can see like these widgets on the side where it has, the weather and the music and news and the calendar. It's kind of useful.
Oh, it's about time they did something with the lock screen. I mean,
yeah, and this is also like where Google Now exists on like the Google Now launcher. Like you swipe right and they all pop up on the side. So,
yeah. So, well, and the changeover from OS 10 to Mac OS, I think we all saw that one coming, and it makes sense. It unifies it more with the rest of the ecosystem, and plus, I think also the fact that we'd been on OS 10 for 2-3 decades.
Mac OS Sierra too, which is I guess is technically 10.12. I also installed that. And the one like the big difference is Siri. I didn't find like a lot of other. I mean, there's a lot of features, but the big thing like you see when you turn it on is like there's Siri, but you can't say "Hey Siri." At least not on my laptop. Maybe you got.
Is she more intelligent? Please?
Not really. I haven't found her to be much more intelligent, but. Maybe that's one of those things where they're like, oh, you can't talk about it because it's not done yet. And to be fair, it's not done until September when it launches, and even then they're going to issue updates.
So. Whatever. I mean, Sierra, fine. It comes out, great. I don't know. I think the big thing is, we all sat there. We all thought we were finally getting new MacBook Pros. We thought we were getting new cinema displays.
Yeah, maybe MacBook Air was a rumor right before it. Android, iMessage on Android. Like there were so many rumors that didn't happen, which is not standard. Usually there's like one thing that doesn't happen or something, right? But this time it's like
it was like an endless list of things that did not happen.
Yeah, like an entire event's worth.
Yeah, and. So now with the MacBook Pros, okay, we all know they're probably waiting for the new Intel processors, which we're expecting in the fall, which means will be almost 2 years since a MacBook Pro refresh, which will be insane.
I guess when did I refresh mine? Last year? But yeah, I think it's Kaby Lake, I think we're waiting for, because I originally said Skylake and that's already out, so I don't know.
I'll just say I will tell you exactly. Yes, I'm using the Mac Buyer's Guide for Mac Rumors.
There you go. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to rely on one, that's the one to rely on. Let's see. The last time the MacBook Pros were updated was May 2015. So, okay, not 2 years. It'll be like a year and a half.
Yeah, so it's been over a year because I got mine about now, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it's been 393 days since the last update. Yeah, which... to me is just insane, but the thing is that the iMacs are almost due for a refresh.
Yeah.
The MacBook Airs have not been updated. The Mac Pro has not been updated. The Mac Mini has not been updated. The way Mac Rumors does this, they put a green, buy it now, yellow, caution, red, don't buy. There's one in caution and one in buy, and the rest of the Mac lineup is red.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's extremely crazy. And that's why I have not, I'm using my backup MacBook Pro, because I'm not going to run out and buy anything right now, because I would be buying an outdated system the second I gave them my credit card.
Yeah, and especially because you think about, they're going to have these new features. Like, I bet Hey Siri is going to work on the Mac, right? Like, why wouldn't it? Like,
right.
Just activate it on my phone.
And no, folks, I do not want a MacBook. Sorry, not happening.
And that OLED bar that's been rumored that'll apparently, sort of morph depending on the app you're in or whatever. Like, all those things are cool and they're going to be nice to have. So why would, they're probably going to be worth waiting for, in addition to the processor. But
well, okay, so Sierra is coming out in
September, I think, also.
How much you want to bet they're going to refresh everything with Sierra?
Yeah, exactly. But that's why I thought during WWDC, and they have done this, sort of unveil the new software and show the new products running it, but they didn't really do that this year. Unless I don't know, I might be mistaken. That's
probably the plan, though. They're probably going to just do everything at once.
Yeah, if there's not an event before September, I think September, that's going to be, the iPhone event's going to be a huge event. Except for, then they sometimes they just let the iPhone do the iPhone, and that's it. Except with the rumors this year, the iPhone 7's not going to be a huge upgrade. Maybe they want to, make it a bigger show, get all that hype about all of its products, especially if the iPhone's kind of like a meh.
Well, and let's see, where are we on the iPad cycles? So, okay, the 9.7 iPad Pro just came out.
Yeah, right. I think those are probably good for now.
The 12.9 inch is at 217 days.
Yeah, that's not gonna.
Yeah, the iPad Mini's at 280, and let's see. Well, that's interesting. Mac Buyers Guide already took the iPad Airs out.
Yeah,
they already killed it. Oh, well, they're just calling it the iPad Pro series now. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's sort of.
Which, by the way, folks, so since we're talking about them, I debated whether or not I was going to discuss this on the show, because I'm sure I will catch gruff for it. I did not buy it. I have been loaned a larger iPad Pro. I mocked it.
Loaned from John, by the way, not from Apple.
Yes. Oh, yes. Borrowed from John, not from Apple, I wish. I mocked it until I started using it. And I can't remember the last time I turned on my iPad Air 2.
There you go.
I use this thing constantly. Yes, it is considerably heavier. But being able to handwrite on it, those of you that don't know me in my day-to-day life, I'm known for carrying notebooks around with me. Mm-hmm. Being able to put all my notes in here, organized, so if I talk to a company multiple times, I can just go back to their folder and, do it all again. For business, this thing is amazing.
So you're using the pencil with it for those notes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. Except for, I will say that whoever sat around and thought, I can't believe this. Yeah, plugging the pencil into the bottom was the most brilliant way of charging something. For those of you listening on the audio, I'm showing it on the screen. This is the silliest thing I have ever seen.
It looks so silly and stupid, but then I'm also and you plug it into a wall on a cord, or that's kind
and how do you use it while it's plugged in? It's
yeah, right. Yeah.
Every time I have to charge it, I just shake my head.
But it lasts for a while, and you don't have to do it often, right?
Right. I like maybe once a week I plug it in for a couple minutes. And it writes really well. Mm-hmm. Writes really, really well. So I don't know if I would have ever bought one, but since it's a loaner, again, not from Apple, I love it. But anyway, so yeah, Apple is not, almost everything needs updates. Mm-hmm. And so you've got these analysts sitting around going, oh, well, sales are going to be down this month. Well, gee, you think?
Yeah.
There's nothing. I don't. Is Apple just now going to release everything in the fourth quarter of the year?
That's what it seems like. I mean, yeah. At least they'll get the holiday season.
Right. I mean, which great. They'll have a killer, our fourth quarter, their first quarter, their financial year. They'll have a great quarter, but the rest of the year they're just writing off now. I don't get what's going on.
Well, I don't know, but I think that's also, well, I think they're also waiting on the Intel processors, and I think possibly this is just my theory that if the iPhone 7 is not that big of a thing, they're gonna boost up this event with as much stuff as they can, so that kind of slides under the radar as much as it does. Like, people might be like, oh, the iPhone's kind of not that exciting if it's just the iPhone, but if there's a lot of stuff and they're going to show probably how iOS 10 works better and Siri and the copy paste across the platforms and stuff like that, then it becomes this like highlight. It could become a highlight of the show versus just like this iPhone that looks like iPhone 7. It looks a lot like the iPhone 6s that's got a better camera, and people are like that's not worth the upgrade. I mean, that could be disastrous.
Well, and let's look at this. I mean, the cinema display has not been updated since September 2011. And
wow.
yeah, 1,735 days since the last update on the cinema display. And we heard all these rumors. Also, stock has run dry pretty much everywhere. They've cut off personal pickups at the stores. So are they just killing the line? Which I don't understand why the cinema display line exists anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm running 2 monitors on either side of my MacBook Pro, and they're both Dells that I picked up on a sale.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't need what I feel is an overpriced monitor.
Right.
But
like
I don't know.
Sometimes they do it better, and sometimes they're more affordable. I have like the Best Buy Insignia brand here and a Hans G from like 2004. I don't know.
Right. And last Black Friday, I picked up 2 Acers, which I've put into storage as backups. Because of where I live, folks, I tend to buy stuff cheap and then just put it in a storage room. If something breaks, it takes me a while to get a replacement.
Right.
Hours. Yeah, exactly. If I want to get my iMac repaired, it's a 3-hour drive. So yeah, it's just the situation where I don't know what they're doing. Fine. WWDC is traditionally a developers conference. I get that. That means it's software focused. Fine. But it would not be unprecedented for them to announce new hardware at WWDC, or to at least given us a hint that the stuff is coming. Really, with Apple, what does it matter if they say new MacBook Pros are coming? We all know they're coming. It's not like somebody else can release them before them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, you're really gonna I mean, I don't know. Maybe they want people, as many people as possible, to continue buying whatever's out there. People
exactly. And that's exactly why they don't bring it up, because they don't want to cannibalize the sales of the current models. I get that. But I don't know. It's getting frustrating. And they know that the most diehard Apple users, are not going to run out and buy anything right now. I would love to buy a new iMac right now. I love my MacBook Pro, but going from a 27-inch screen to a 15-inch screen is driving me slightly insane. I would love to buy an iMac. I am not buying an iMac right now. I'm mid-cycle, so I'm not silly. I don't know. What all did you think of the whole WWDC thing? Did they deliver on what you wanted, or?
I wasn't looking so much for hardware, and I thought a lot of this stuff was exciting. I really did. I thought iOS 10 was pretty good. I thought, tvOS I've never really found that exciting. And adding Sling TV was good, though, because I like Sling TV. But again, I think I've talked about it here. I bought the Apple TV and then returned it, and I haven't gone back. Mac OS Sierra, I installed it. Siri is useful to have there, I suppose, but I didn't find that all that exciting. Watch OS 3, that was pretty cool. I actually like the idea that they added breathing in there. I don't know how many people stop and actually breathe, but breathing exercises are pretty cool. If you're stressed out, it really works. So I thought that was neat that they're at least adding this coach onto the watch. Like, one place I've done breathing exercises, like, sometimes I don't like flying, especially if there's turbulence. It's a good way to calm down. So I thought that, it's just neat that they added something like that. What else? Apple Maps. I mean, I hate saying it, but I did feel like a lot of these things are like playing catch up. But Apple has to play catch up, right? Like you can't just not do these things. Today I wrote a story about like Apple Maps will have a feature where if you park your car, you can find the car again. Like Google Maps has had that for a long time on Android.
I even though I carry an iPhone, I think I've opened Apple Maps maybe twice.
Yeah. I never use Apple Maps.
My go-to is always Google Maps because I tend to, before I go on a trip somewhere, I go online. I star things I need to go to or whatever. I love the fact that I open it up on my phone. There's all my stars. There's all my saved information.
Stars littering my maps. I love it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm not saying yet where I'm going on vacation this year, but I've already been starring stuff in that location, and nice. It already looks like a big star field. But
yeah, I'm with you. And so there's like not many reasons why. I mean, maybe they should have like an import export, right? Like if you could export all your favorites from Google Maps. But I don't know. I think after it, I'm starting to feel like Android is like more powerful, and people are gonna hate me. The app selection and stuff like that are still, I think, in a lot of ways better on iPhone, but Android just feels like it knows what I'm doing or what I'm trying to do more, and Maps is more convenient, and the cloud, Google's cloud is obviously much more robust, I think, with Gmail and everything. And so then I look to Apple and what it's trying to do with its core apps, and while you can get all the Google's apps and Microsoft's apps and stuff on iOS, but when you look at what Apple's trying to do, I'm just like I just don't feel it's entirely there. Then you look at photos and stuff like that. Like they're trying to do events now that Google's already had in Google Photos, and you can use Google Photos on the iPhone. So why would you use Apple? So if you're not going to make it better, then I'm not sure what the point is. And I don't see that Apple solutions are better all the time. I don't know.
No, I totally agree. And I have to address this quickly from Brazen Franco. I believe this came in after I was talking about the iPad Pro. Those Apple Gold ingots are coming out of the sheet behind you, Sean. Yes, that's where I store all the payments I receive from Apple for all my praise. Anyway, so let's jump into some questions here. And we'll, from Sachin Bahal, what was your favorite announcement from WWDC? For me, easily, it was finally the use of the lock screen. It's about blasted time.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Just iOS 10 in general. I think it looks exciting. I'm excited to see, though, the other features that come when they unveil the iPhone 7. Sometimes they talk about other things that aren't here yet.
From Brazen Franco, what did you think of this year's E3? Just so everyone who may not have joined us earlier, Joey will be on next week to discuss E3 in depth. But I will say that, having helped with all the press conferences and all that, I think Sony once again walked away with the show just based on their software selection. Yes, Microsoft had a lot of hardware, but we need games to play on the hardware, and Sony really shined this time. But again, no Red Dead sequel.
I know, I was just going to say that. What the heck?
I am so bummed. So bummed. I really thought it was going to be this year. Mm-hmm. You've been busy with a lot of stuff, Todd, but have you had any time to pay attention to E3?
Yeah, I have, because I've been editing their posts and scheduling them all. So I have read a lot of the stuff coming out of E3. I think I agree with you. Sony seems to have won it, and I definitely am bummed. I actually emailed Joe yesterday and said, hey, when's like Take-Two, Rockstar's brand, like when's their press conference or something? Like, when are we going to hear about Red Dead? He's like, dude, like, it's not happening. So I was kind of bummed about that too. Zelda looked pretty sweet yesterday, I thought. I think it seemed like online, like there was some back and forth, at least just on the press I follow on Twitter. But I thought it looked awesome. Like that open world was really gorgeous. I don't know. I don't think I followed like each title very closely, but I thought that looked really good.
What'd you think about the PlayStation VR finally being priced?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think the price is fine. I mean, it seems, good enough where it's not like priced where it would be like a cheapo gadget. What is it, $499, right? Or with the
$399.
current $399. But there's a bundle now, I think that's $499 or something like that. Anyway, then I went to try to order it, and it said, I have to wait till October. So I guess it went out pretty quick, right?
I'm still not that interested.
I am for things like, well, I don't know. I guess Final Fantasy looked like it could be cool with it. Battlefront, Star Wars could be pretty sweet. But I want to see like how the quality is compared to like a Gear VR.
Right. No, I think the quality is going to be fine. I'm not that interested in VR. It's just not my bag, I don't think. Continue on with E3 from Such and Bahal. What do you guys think of the Xbox One S? I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's not unusual for there to be a slim version of the console by this point in the life cycle.
Yeah, right. Like they were worried about the cooling, I guess, and the red ring of death that happened with the Xbox 360. So that's what it sounded like, at least in the articles I was editing. So they had this big one, with enough cooling, and I guess they just decided they could slim it down.
Yeah.
No power brick, which is good.
Yes, thank goodness. From Brazen Franco, why was there no coverage of the PC Gamer press conference at E3? It didn't overlap any of the other conferences, started 15 minutes after Microsoft's. That would be a question for Joey. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Joey and Eric are the two on the ground there, and I've seen their schedule, and it was panic-inducing how many things they had to get to.
Yeah.
So I really don't know, but Brazen, if you remember to ask that next week when Joey's on, please ask him. From Such and Bahal, I think we've already kind of answered this. Do you think the OnePlus 3 is worth it? Well, since you're buying one today, I would say your answer is yes.
Yeah, I think definitely. It's priced very right. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no hands-on time with it whatsoever, so I really can't say yet. Let's see here. From Josh Ramath. Boy, having a 15-inch screen this far away is not easy. Are you disappointed that iMessage didn't come to Android?
I'm not. I actually wrote an article on the site right now. It's called iMessage for Android. It was a dumb idea anyway. I mean, I guess I'm a little disappointed. I think it would have been convenient, but honestly, if it probably would have put the iPhone away for a little bit. Just, I don't know. One of the main reasons, and I argued this, that I'm using the iPhone is because iMessage and like all my friends I talked about, like I don't want to be that green bubble, in the text message conversations, like especially in groups. And when you look at just if it was on Android, you're kind of giving a reason for people to be like, oh, well, I go to Android because I really like iMessage, and this phone's cheaper or something like that, and I can still have iMessage. And you also have, I was talking about my brother, for example, who says one of the only reasons he wants an iPhone is for iMessage. So you also lose that audience. So you think about, like, is Apple willing to lose those customers? And my other side of the argument is, well, the more people on iMessage, especially in iOS 10, where they have the iMessage app store, where you could buy stuff for it. Well, then, if you don't have it on Android, then you're missing out on all those people who could buy the apps. And so Apple obviously has to look at this and say, like, if we actually lose people. And, this is just making the rough assumption back in the BlackBerry days with BBM that, people were only hanging on to BlackBerry because of BBM. And I think that BlackBerry at that time had gotten in such a position that, the operating system wasn't enough for anybody. So it was just BBM. The iPhone's not in that position. The iOS is great, plus iMessage is great. So I don't think people are, purely hanging on just for iMessage. But I think there are the people out there that are like, well, I only keep my iPhone because of iMessage, and they're indifferent on the rest of it. And those people, how many are there out there? And if Apple were to lose those people as customers, would they make up that money in sales, through the iMessage app store on Android? If that makes any sense. No,
it makes total sense. It didn't make a lot of sense to me that they were going to do it, but so I'm not horribly surprised.
It's a risky move, I think, because, again, it's one of the appealing, factors of an iPhone. And it's only going to get better with iOS 10. So,
Quick housekeeping question here from Tucson Daily News Bulletin.
I used to live in Tucson, Arizona. I saw that question.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot you used to live in Tucson. Well, I used to live in Phoenix, so neighbors. How can I host multiple people on Hangouts? It's real easy. Once you start the Hangout, if you go up to the top, there's a little person with a plus symbol next to it. Just click on that, and you can copy and paste a link that you can email or message to them. And once they click on that link, they will join you. And that's how Todd and I do it. I start the show, and then I message him the link, and up appears Todd.
It's magic.
Yeah, it really is amazing how easy this thing works. Let's see here. From Brazen Franco, do you see Apple Pay on the web competing against PayPal?
Yeah,
I think so. It's an interesting question. I think it's going to take some business away from PayPal. I don't think it will completely gut PayPal, but it is going to take at least some business away from them.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all these people that are just like, okay, it's already set up, especially, Safari on the iPhone will have it embedded with, let's say, Touch ID, right? So you just like tap your finger and bada bing, bada boom, it's done. I think I just used bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
I think it is dangerous for PayPal because it's a convenience factor, and not for the millions of us out there who've used PayPal for a lot of things, but for mom and dad, because there are millions of those too who are just like, oh wow, it just I can use my Apple ID and my credit card information. It's already stored here, and I just tap my finger and that's it. I mean, that right there will take business away from PayPal.
Right, and you won't be transmitting your actual credit card number across the web, which is a big point.
Yeah,
right there.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm anxious to try it out once it's live. I'm going to be very curious to see which sites use it. I mean, it's going to be obvious. Amazon will have integration in a millisecond. But
Amazon doesn't Amazon have its own? No.
They do have Amazon payments, but it doesn't. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's just linked to yeah, you're right. That's right. It's just a quick click button.
Yeah, but because that's how I pay for my Kickstarters. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it works out. I mean, the idea that I have to have my phone at the same time is a little cumbersome in thought, but we'll see how it is in practice.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I thought was cool with macOS Sierra and the Apple Watch. You can just unlock your laptop with your watch on. You're nearby. Yeah. It's kind of like trusted Bluetooth devices on Android.
Exactly. Let's see here from Brazen Franco. $3,000 Mac Pro with 3 generations old Xeon processor sound like a good deal today. What do you think? No. That's exactly what we're saying. I mean, it's ridiculous. Update the hardware. Let's get going here. It's silly at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, I hear a truck backing up to collect the gold ingots from behind the sheet because I've spoken negatively.
That's right. They want it back.
Exactly.
It gets ripped out of your hands. Hey, that's not yours.
From Sachin Bahal, has any announcement from E3 caught your eye? I'm excited for Forza Horizon 3, Steep, Skyrim on Xbox One, Sea of Thieves, and the Xbox Design Labs looks awesome. It was funny. A lot of the conferences I was on Skype with Joey and Eric and Ron, because I was doing screenshots for them, and the running joke was, oh, look, Sean's being salty again. Because a lot of the things I just kept going, I think it's the fact that while open world is a great idea, I feel it's being abused at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything needs to be open world. I miss the days of just being able to pick up a controller, play for 20 minutes and set it down, and I got my fix.
Yeah, now I agree with you. And now you're like, you got to run for 20 minutes, start that mission.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something.
There's a reason my Super Nintendo is still hooked up to my television.
Yeah, there you go.
I like being able to pick up, and play, UN Squadron for 10 minutes. I'm satisfied.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like everything's gone too far into the open world. And
I think the thing I'm most excited for is Battlefield 1, but I don't think that was technically an E3 announcement.
no, it wasn't an E3 announcement, but it does look interesting. I mean, let's face it, there was some great looking stuff. Although, can we talk about the naming of games this year?
Yeah, you can, because a lot of them are confusing me even. They're so long.
Let's see, Detroit Becoming Human.
Yeah, and weird.
Horizon whatever ever. I know that one was announced last year, but still, Horizon Zero Dawn. Detroit Becoming Human. Yeah, it's just like, what are you people doing?
I'm going to go through some of them.
Oh, what was the Kojima one? Death. It had the whales on the beach.
I can't find it.
Death something.
Yeah, I guess Joey will have them all.
Death Stranding. Death Stranding. That was it. Yeah, but
Death Stranding. Yep.
Yeah, because I had to name the screenshots as I was uploading them. I'm like, what am I typing?
What is going on?
These words make no sense. And you missed the Ubisoft presentation.
I did.
The first
or
2
did
minutes,
I miss it?
They had dancers come out to announce Just Dance 17 at the very beginning.
Oh, that's a Samsung move.
No, Samsung has nothing on what Ubisoft did on that stage.
Oh, really?
I will be having nightmares for the rest of my life over what I witnessed. When you've seen a giraffe shaking its tail,
Ooh.
It was a guy in a costume,
right.
But it was disturbing. The whole, it was people in weird costumes. The whole thing was disturbing. Anyway, from Josh Ramath, did you guys watch the OnePlus 3 unveiling in VR?
I did not.
I'm sorry, what, Todd?
I live blogged it, so I didn't watch it in VR, but I did the VR experience on my phone, and it was funny because I had it up here and like I'm touching and scrolling around and then writing about it, and then picking up the phone and touching and scrolling around because the live blog experience was this celestial presence. They said like their office is this virtual OnePlus office. It wasn't like last year where it was a video of their office. It was a 3D virtual office up in space. And you talk to Carl Pei, who's like a hologram, and he's like telling you what to do. And then you visit these different rooms and you touch these buttons and learn about the phone. So like I'm walking around, and I wish I'd had the headset to do it. I probably can still do it, but on my phone, and then like typing it out, like I'm in this room now, and then I'm in this room. It was kind of hard to do, but it was fun. I thought it was a neat idea.
For those of you that only listen to the audio version of the show, you're missing me sitting here holding my head in my hand.
Yeah.
And just looking incredulous. Anyway.
And it was cool. If you participated in it, you got to buy the phone right away. Place your order. And everybody else had to wait till like 5 o'clock Eastern.
Ooh.
Well, I thought, yeah, but OnePlus says like their fans are just as important as the press, and I think that's nice.
And I do agree with that. I do agree with that. So, all right, folks. Well, that is going to be it for this week's show. As I said, Joey, I know we've still got some E3 questions. Joey will be on next week. We will go through all the E3, console releases, games, weird naming. Appreciate you joining us. You can find the TechnoBuffalo Show on the iTunes store by searching for the TechnoBuffalo Show. We do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on the Google Play Store. You can subscribe via RSS feed. You can find us on Pocket Casts. You can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Basically, anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the Director of Operations. I've been joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Until next time, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.